I'm so sorry I had to subject you to that horrible dancing. If you did not know, Dandadan is getting an anime. It is a long-running Shonen Jump manga that is just insane, with some of the most insane art and weird premises I've ever seen in anime. If you don't know what Dandadan is about, pretty much, Okarun believes in aliens but not ghosts, while Momo believes in ghosts but not aliens, and oops, turns out both of them are real, and that's pretty much the plot. But as simple of a premise as this show has, it's one of the craziest and most insane shows I've seen in my entire life. They turned the first 3 episodes into a movie and aired it almost an entire month early, so me being the manga reader and snob I am, I had to go check it out because I've been waiting like 2 years for this anime to come out, and I'm just so excited to see it, and I'm so unfathomably happy to say it's absolutely amazing, maybe the best anime adaptation I've ever seen. Now, I have one small nitpick for this movie, and it's a very small nitpick, and all that is that the entire movie starts with around a 20 to 25 minute interview between the 2 main voice actors, the mangaka, the main editor, and the director of this anime. And the only reason I say that I have a nitpick on this, because I know they were probably just trying to lengthen the movie a little bit so that they can actually show it in theaters. My only main problem is that it's just right at the start, and if you don't know anything about this anime or manga, it's gonna be kind of jarring when you go in to see this crazy story and you get 20 minutes of them talking about a story in ways they adapted characters that you don't know yet. But again, that's mostly just a problem because it's a movie. It's something that won't actually be there in the anime, and I also don't think it's that big of a deal because personally, I really liked that segment. From the way the director talked and the voice actors talked, it really sounds like they pulled out all the stops for this anime, and like I said, it looks like it too, because this anime is insane. Now, first off, I just want to start off by saying the intro by the Creepy Nuts was absolutely just a banger. It's been stuck in my head for like 3 days because I've been watching the trailer, and it sets a great precedent for everything that ends up coming, because the music in this show is S tier. I don't know how you're even supposed to be able to find music to put in Dandadan. It's just that crazy and just that quick of a story that it's like when I was reading the manga, I couldn't like have music in my head playing over the pages I was reading because it was just so insane and weird every page. But somehow they managed to capture that vibe completely with like this weird EDM like house style music that is just so dang perfect. If you've seen Redline, think of like Redline and how that music just keeps you on your toes and just keeps you invested and bumping the entire time you're watching the show. That's the best example of what the type of music they use in this show is. It's just so high. It's just as weird and insane as the show itself, and it's just perfect, man. I know I'm pretty much just sitting here gushing, and this is not what you come to expect from my channel if you've seen any of my other anime videos, because normally I approach it from a less feeling and more analytical perspective, but I've been waiting so long for this anime, and I've been so excited for this anime, and I was also so skeptical on this anime that when it came out here and became maybe my favorite adaptation of all time throughout the first 3 episodes that I've seen, I just can't do anything but gush about it. Again, I'm sure I'll get hate for this, but in my opinion, this is just as tough to adapt as a Berserker, as a Vagabond. It's not as detailed of art, but it's just like the most insane art ever. And so I've always been super skeptical. Obviously, throughout seeing the trailers and stuff, I've only seen good things, but I was just always having that one thing being like, oh, probably won't be as good as the manga though, because I think that the manga is just insane. It's just like next to none in just how weird and insane the art style is. It's like an Uzumaki, and it's just so complex. I really don't know how they did this. Which brings me over to the direction of this show. Oftentimes in anime, it's really hard to see the influence of a director, because when it comes to a lot of these shows, they're either like a light novel adaptation isekai or just a one-to-one recreation of the manga, so all the shots and everything they have to do are already there for them. But when it comes to an anime like Dandadan, you just have to get creative, because to be honest, you're not going to be able to just take a one-to-one adaptation of Dandadan and make it make sense on the screen, which is why the director of this anime is such a goat, because there's so many cool moments that stand out to me. They do this thing where they show the characters like in a mirror, and you think it's like a direct shot of them, and then it'll like cut back and the camera will kind of move back and you'll see the character that they're looking into the mirror, and it'll just be all these crazy establishing shots that really help you get invested in this weird and insane world. Something that I have come to notice, particularly with direction in anime, is that whenever it feels like there's an actual camera or somebody who's actually filming them there, then you're typically doing a good job. Because there's a lot of anime where it doesn't feel like there's a true camera and stuff following them, but in this, it really does. This show is technically classified as a rom-com horror, which is a very, very weird genre to try to go into. And somehow they do it perfectly. In the manga, they do a really good job at doing things like panel flips, where when you flip the page, you look and it's a big, wide panel that has this crazy shift, and that's something that's very unique to manga. So for them to be able to take this and translate it to the anime adaptation perfectly and not make it feel jarring between the comedy and the horror of it all is amazing, because in certain shows they really don't do a good job at doing that. For example, I think Elusive Samurai, which is coming out this season, has moments where it's just so dark, but the show is also a shonen comedy. So when it switches from a scene of a literal child being beheaded, and then in the next scene you get the priest looking all happy and goofy and funny, it just kind of feels jarring, and somehow this anime does not fall into that. Before the movie started, the director was kind of talking about ways that he tried to do this, and what he said is because the manga has such a crazy way to shift tone from funny to just insane to straight up scary, that he had to find really, really creative ways to do these changes, and I think he did a great job at that. For example, there's this part where Momo sees aliens for the very first time, and in the manga, that moment is shown by a page flip, where on one page she's on the phone talking to Okarun and she's being all goofy and funny, and then you flip the page and 3 aliens are standing there. But you can't just switch from scene to scene like that in an anime, so instead what he does is he has the camera pan from Momo onto the hallway, where you see the lights in the hallway are slowly turning off all the way until the turning off lights leads up to the aliens, and this is just perfect. And it's just like little changes like that and little thoughts like that where you can tell someone really cares about the thing that they're making. And there's a lot of like light novel adaptations or even like popular anime adaptations where that level of detail and just thought is not taken into account. Now I want to talk about the voice acting, or specifically just the comedy part of it. The voice actors for Okarun and Momo, peak. They did such a good job, because there were parts where I genuinely found myself laughing. Now, was that because I was in a theater where everybody else was laughing? Maybe, because a lot of times when I watch anime alone, I don't really laugh that much, but I genuinely found myself giggling at the stuff they were doing, again, because the juxtaposition between how serious and insane it is, and then it just instantly switches to comedy, is just so good and just done so well, and I really want to give the voice actors their flowers, because they do such a good job at being like super over the top on everything and going from like just these crazy mood swings, going from sad or depressed to just screaming and just funny. I don't know, it really feels almost like a Gintama or something like that, and I really, really enjoy it. Very last thing I wanted to talk about for this video is just the animation, which I've kind of gone into, but in my opinion, I think this is probably my favorite animation in any anime, and I'll tell you why. Now, does it have the pure spectacle of a One Punch Man or a Mob Psycho? No, but it's consistently interesting. It's just a ton of fun. Everything you see on screen grabs your attention, even when it's just slow parts of them talking. The grandma is somehow hotter than she is in the manga, and I did not know that was even possible. And it almost feels like a cross between Mob Psycho and JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and I know how heavy of a statement that is, and I still stand by it. Because the way they use colors in this is only on par with JoJo's. JoJo's will use colors instead of shadows a lot of the time, and that's exactly what this show does. And I think this show almost probably does it better, which is like, I never thought that, because I am a JoJo's fan. I love Dick. And it was just honestly something I never could have expected. And when I say Mob Psycho, I just mean it's just pure clean animation all the time. Just the pure spectacle of this show is something I think anybody who likes anime should watch. Even if you're not as big of a fan of the manga as I am, or even if you just don't like the characters that much, I think everybody should see this, because it's just a pure masterclass on how to adapt a manga, and specifically how to adapt an almost unadaptable manga. Again, to me, this feels like watching Berserk or Vinland Saga or Vagabond with just crazy animation. Like, Vinland Saga does have crazy animation. That's one of the reasons I love it so much, is because it's like I'm watching one of these just classic, most detailed, beautiful manga, and somehow it's better than the book. Like, how do you do that? I did not think this was a single possibility. And I really just wanted to come out here, give everybody their flowers. I know this is a lot different compared to the videos I normally make, because normally I'm super analytical, and I normally put a lot more thought into everything I'm saying and all that. But I just saw the movie, and it's like I haven't been this satisfied leaving a movie theater since I watched the second Spider-Man Spider-Verse movie. And it's like, that's a pretty heavy statement to say, but I'm being completely serious when I say this was just a peak experience, and I think if anybody has the chance to go see it in a movie theater, they really should. This anime was almost made to be on the big screen. The way the music works in those theaters, the pure spectacle of the animation on a big screen, man, it's just beautiful, and I think everybody should go watch it. But that's all I really got to say. Thank you. Peace out.